This special edition, In the Line of Duty. Ohio first responders find themselves at the epicenter of war, with the ravages of heroin, opioids, and their daily deadly toll.
Half of officers' collisions occur at intersections, and some of the most dangerous ones and the ones that injure us and kill us the most occur at intersections. So we should always be slowing at intersections, whether it's a green light or not.
A slashing blow to the neck was to prove fatal to Officer Green, for somehow Wallace had freed himself from his cuffs.
For about 4 hours, I was the only police officer, the only law enforcement officer there at Beverly Heights. We did not have enough people to go around.
Hillsborough Police, Fire, and EMS set out to shave critical seconds, even minutes, off the golden hour, even while still trying to stop an active shooter threat.
The line of duty programs are great resources for any trainer out there.
It was a great resource for my officers just to be able to kind of learn from other mistakes that have happened in the past or instances in the past, and I show it during briefings so when they go out in the field they have the correct mindset and hopefully make sure they make it home safely.
Put the gun down!
Probably the one that had the most impact was the Kyle Dienkeller shooting.
Drop the gun now!
Once they feel that they have control of the situation, they will try. They're going to try you, and it may turn out like this.
One thing that Brandon did say during his interview, he told me, he said, if Kyle had come up on him when he went back to his truck, he would have given up. But when he didn't, he said, I clearly had the advantage.
When an officer is killed or wounded, that's a sad day. However, if other officers can learn from it, and we're saving lives, then it's worth doing.
All right. Fucking kill you. All right, it's cool. Goddamn, I'll fucking kill you.
When you watch Mark's murder, and as painful as it is for myself, even 20 years, almost 20 years later, and any young recruit that's coming through, take the training that comes from the videotape out to the field with you. So hopefully we'll never lose another officer across the nation in a situation like this again.
Use those as a learning tool and guide us and help us become better in our profession and more safe in our profession.
I go to make contact with the right front passenger of the vehicle. Since he was the guy that wasn't going along with the instructions, I want to go ahead and get him out of the vehicle. I go to put the first handcuff on his right wrist, and that's when I look over to the left and I see the passenger in the rear seat coming up with the gun. We're trained over and over again to first create distance. Don't be a stationary target. Don't stand. First create distance, and then return fire.
In addition, the videos are current. And I'll give you an example. The most recent video that I watched was on fentanyl and carfentanil and the exposure to our public safety officers.
This is what a serial killer looks like in 2017. To the naked eye, those are just gel caps. But inside each one is heroin cut with carfentanil.
The onset of something like carfentanil is going to be immediate. The person's going to know that they've had an exposure and they're going to feel all of the signs and symptoms as with a normal opiate exposure. They're just going to feel them very quickly.
This is a current issue. We have officers in South Carolina getting exposed to this. And I've had several comments back from our officers in South Carolina how much they valued the training that was put on through this program. The training is also approved by the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. Therefore, not only does it result in officer safety, a reduction in liability, but it also helps the officers get the mandatory training that they need per year.
For us, it was a great resource for officer safety and making sure that our officers go out with the right mindset.
A traffic stop in a St. Louis suburb sends shockwaves throughout the country and puts the name Ferguson on the tip of the nation's tongue.
If you don't believe it can happen to you, you're wrong. It can happen to you, and you need to understand that.
Disperse the area immediately. You're in violation of the state-imposed curfew.
With the gunfire that we dealt with every evening, the number of people that were shot in the first few days, I think the first 11 days, in amongst the protester groups, we never pulled the trigger, Ron. And I assure you it's easy to do. And I assure you that I think some of the things we did to prevent that, we were taken to task on. But there is nothing more sacred than human life. And if you start there, typically you'll make good decisions, as good as you can, moving beyond that.
The only time an officer should ever be in front of a vehicle that's being driven by somebody that you're attempting to apprehend is when you have no choice.
It really provides us that roll call training, the short, quick training that the sergeant can put to the guys, and give realistic incident-based training that a lot of people can relate to and put out there in the real world and use.
In my opinion, there is damn sure a war on police, and this is probably the most dangerous time for any of you folks to ever go out there on the street.
We're about to show you a breakthrough in procedure. Now train online with law enforcement's only reality-based video library through Line of Duty Learning. Access hundreds of programs covering virtually every aspect of police training and education at the touch of a mouse. And now get a free 2-week preview, no cost, no obligation. Email info@lineofduty.com for your free 2-week preview, or call 800-462-5232. Programs include certificates of completion, and all Line of Duty courses are used as continuing education resources for both classroom and online training hours. Find out why thousands of law enforcement professionals are training online 24/7, as if their lives depended on it.
Check out Line of Duty. You won't be disappointed. Line of Duty can save lives.